people believe in what we're doing. They believe in the vision. They believe in our community. We've had, we're a layer one chain that just launched mainnet.
What's the story of this rise? Who's buying? What's going on here?
How do we actually get the government to come consider working with something like what we're building?
Welcome back to the Rollup, your home for technical talks and open conversations that shape the modular future. Nothing on today's show is to be construed as financial advice. You can see our full disclosures list at therollup.co/ventures.
All right, we're live. Consensus 2025 Hong Kong. JP,
how's it going, man?
How are you? It's our first time on the Rollup. So maybe just who's JP? Why do you care about crypto? Where you're from?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for having me. Appreciate it. We're glad that we're able to do this finally. I'm from the U.S. originally. Hong Kong is home turf. I've been here for almost 8 years now. Got in very early into crypto when I was in university in Spain, actually. Cool. So bought my first Bitcoin back in 2013. Had a friend, shout out Trey Tomlinson, who was doing shit on the dark web.
Yeah.
And told me, the computer science major, and he said you should go check this stuff out. And back then it was like $500 or something. For me, that was a lot of money back then. So it was either like, are you buying beer or are you buying Bitcoin? And normally it was beer.
Yeah.
But a little bit of Bitcoin. And ended up graduating, then wanted to follow like a traditional finance path. So I'm dressed like a fucking traditional finance guy right now. I don't normally dress this up, but ended up going to B school in Germany, and then did a master's in Shanghai, China. So that's how I got out to Asia. So I was, again, trying to work in traditional finance or consulting or something, much more stodgy and boring. But actually ended up getting a job at a local state-owned investment bank called Guotai Junan Securities. I was effectively like the token Laowai or foreigner. I was like literally the second foreign hire ever that these guys have done. It was like the Morgan Stanley of China that no one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
If they're not in this part of the world. Yeah. And I was the second foreigner ever to work for this company, and they didn't have any clue what to do with me. Half the time in the beginning, I was just like on magazines and, doing presentations on like literally that was the thing. But I want to do something real. So fortunately, there's an opportunity that they started this like research team that was focused on emerging technologies, and China has these 5-year plans that they put out, and they have all these different emerging technologies that they wanted to research into, and blockchain was one of them. So I just kind of like kept my interest and kept looking into it more deeply, and then ended up like building a bit of a platform and community for like taking all these different fintech companies and blockchain things that I was looking into, and I would like basically go into WeWorks and stuff, host meetups and bring in these founders of these companies that I was researching. And we'd have beers and we talk about fintech and crypto and stuff. This was like 2016, 2015. And then that turned into like an ICO promotion thing because everyone wanted to raise money in China back in the day. So I did a little bit of that. Obviously, China banned crypto exchanges September 21.
Remember that.
And then that was kind of like the emphasis to move down to Hong Kong. So I moved down at the end of 2017 down here. Worked across exchange business, brokerage, did like very early tokenization work in the US. Cool. We tokenized Spencer Dinwiddie's contract with the broker dealer Tritonian Capital. That was like one of the first STOs that was like actually legitimately done. And then like was legitimately going broke before COVID happened and started Mantra.
Nice.
And launched it as a DeFi protocol on Polkadot. So we flipped Polkadot today in market cap, which is, kind of validating. And because they really didn't give us a whole lot of support when we were initially building out.
Yeah.
But we had some good success. We like got listed on Binance in March of 2021, and then like instantly after crypto or DeFi bubble popped, and everyone was in like metaverse and GameFi, play to earn, everything else. It wasn't the end of the cycle, obviously, but it was like the end of DeFi 1.0 at least,
for sure.
And it was like, okay, how do we actually build something? We kept building. 2022, we started looking at like, okay, how do we actually take all this on-chain, smart contract stuff that we built? We had staking products, lending, Launchpad, a number of different things, and use that in a regulated like context. And we're initially looking at the US market because we had that connection with the broker dealer. So we were trying to build something there. That just slowed way down after, FTX and Luna and all that shit. Obviously that's changing now with the US market a little bit, but 2022 and 2023 were not good years for doing regulated activities in the United States with crypto. So that was a slow, painful, like 2+ years. I mean, like it was tough. I mean, we had to, restructure the team a couple times. We had to, I didn't pay myself for years. And it was again, a challenge, but we fortunately met one of our investors called Sharuk at the end of 2023, and we'd been building a number of different things. We've been working on licensing with Vara. We'd been working on this chain that we like initially had 2 different models for, and we're just like waiting for someone to finally back us, or me, I guess. And it's funny because like I was raising money for years, trying to raise money here in Hong Kong. No one was like backing. I think probably because I didn't go to like Stanford or Harvard or something. I didn't work at Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
And then the U.S. guys didn't want to because I was a new founder who was in Asia. So I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing? But the Middle East ended up, being really big for us. We spent a lot of time trying to build relationships and network, and that was really a big catalyst for us. And now I think we've become kind of like known as like the Middle East project or Middle East chain of sorts, which has been good because I think that's been the area where RWAs are taking off the most. And obviously the U.S. is coming, but there's still asset classes I think which will be dominated by the Middle East and the UAE particularly.
Yeah, I mean, I think RWAs as a general trend have really picked up steam due to Trump, pro-crypto in the States. And also just, I think there's this flight to people wanting to bring stocks and bonds on chain.
Yeah.
Larry Fink's been pushing that hard on CNBC. And also just, I think people in crypto are ready for real product, real usage, like real yield, if you will.
Yep.
I think that's a big trend. But I'd love to get into RWAs and stable coins, but I'd hate to bury the lead here and just ask you, dude, what's going on? Like the OM token has outperformed everything this year, is up like 7,000%. People are wondering like, when is this going to blow up in your face? Like, why is this, like, this is completely unsustainable. And people are there's mutters that there's things happening. So what's the story of this rise? Who's buying? What's going on here?
So it's pretty funny. I mean, like I think the big joke on CT now is like, who's the market maker for Mantra?
Yeah, like Wintermute is getting yelled at.
I know. Yeah, we don't actually work with Wintermute yet officially.
Yeah.
So they can be absolved of anything.
Yeah.
We have a couple different market makers. We're going to be onboarding a couple new ones. It's not like anyone particularly. And honestly, if it was a market maker doing it, like everyone would be able to do that.
Right. But does buy pressure coming from the Middle East?
I would say significantly. Okay. I think there's this thing where people are kind of salty that they missed it. And they're like, how the hell did we have a top 25 coin now that like no one knows about? And I think it is the positioning a little bit like up until recently, particularly this year, we did the $1 billion announcement with Damak, which is obviously huge. They're obviously quite associated with Trump as well. So that really spurred a lot of the growth. But last year was crazy too, right? We rode it from, I think, the all-time low of 1.7 cents last year. I mean, I think last year's all-time high was like around $4 or something.
Yeah.
And, I think a part of that was just like that culmination of having, honestly, relatively unique tokenomics. As I said, like, we had an ERC token that was almost fully diluted, and fully in circulation. And then we had this like merging together of a new chain. So we had this like repricing of being a like basically dead DeFi application to this like layer one for this new hot narrative. So that was like good positioning, good timing. We did have obviously a lot of kind of credible backers. Sharuk is not a crypto, and actually the other thing is a lot of these people buying are not crypto native people.
Yeah.
I think that's what people like. They're like, okay, it's not talked about on Twitter, but
that's the thing is like everyone missed it. Like I missed it.
That's the thing. Like people. Well, I'd say a couple of things. One, like the people. There's people who literally don't even know how to buy it, which also means they don't know how to sell it. Okay. But they want to be along for the ride. That's definitely it is a thing. I was literally at every freaking conference last year speaking and getting the word out. And like, we weren't the shiny new thing because we've been around for 4 years. So I think that's another reason why people were like, well, we're looking at nothing against like Bera or Monad or Story or, Abstract or any of these guys. Like, obviously they're building really cool stuff, but they were the new shiny object and we were just kind of like the dark horse that no one was really paying attention to. To be honest, like we're the only major RWA coin on Binance. And like, that's where retail bids, right? Like, so that's obviously super important. We still have, major listings that haven't happened in markets like the US. We're like, we are literally just getting listed on Kraken today. So we didn't have a US, USD pair. We're not on any of the major Koreans yet. We're working on it, obviously, hard. So there's still like those type of catalysts behind, in front, which we're excited about. And to be honest, like, some of these violent actions are just because we just don't have spot sellers, right? And a lot of it is, not financial advice, but a lot of it is, we're seeing like short squeezes happen regularly. And that's why you have these like big, violent, God candles happening. And part of that is, we do really have long-term aligned investors who, again, are not necessarily crypto native. Many of them are very traditional investors. We're fortunate that Sharuk is one of our investors. They're backed by 9 sovereign wealth funds, Mubadala, ADQ, Saudi PIF, like basically all the big boys. So very patient institutional capital. Laser Digital, which is Nomura. Brevin Howard is one of our biggest backers that no one actually knows about. Yeah. We never announced it. Now I can. But so we have these big institutional guys which are like long-term minded, and and they've obviously been super supportive and giving us a lot of credibility. In the Middle East particularly, we've been very lucky that like there's a lot of people who just know about us and have been bidding and are interested in the project. We've come to become this like hometown story a little bit.
What are they interested in specifically? Like I guess better ask like why is this like why is Mantle DAO worth?
Well,
what's the market cap now?
I think 13 billion.
13 billion.
Yeah, 13 billion.
Like, what warrants that? Respectfully.
No, it's a good. I mean, to be honest, I think it is like who's going to win the RWA play, and we are specifically focused on that. And right now, we were the first real L1 to market that had like legitimate crypto anything. Okay. What I mean by that is like Provenance is another like real world asset L1, also in the Cosmos ecosystem, but they don't, no hate against them. They have crazy like on-chain TVL. They don't have any on-chain activity, and they don't have any crypto native anything, in my opinion. And now you're seeing other projects which want to be RWA L1s and want to pull them on.
But when I go on DeFi Llama and look at Monstrous TVL, it's like 10K or something.
So that's Mantra DAO. That's the old like old staking platform.
Okay.
Mantra on DeFi Llama, and this is one of the challenges of honestly running any layer 1, is you have to work to integrate with like every single data provider, every single custodian. Like we're still working with RWXYZ to get integrated. We're still working with Token Terminal. I think they should be up and running in the next month or 2, and that'll show like real numbers. A lot of the stuff that we've put on chain from an RWA perspective hasn't been announced or hasn't been discussed yet, or in actually DeFi Llama is an interesting one. Like the way that they calculate TVL from a chain perspective is very different than like for RWAs at least, it's very different than like DeFi native platform.
Right.
And fully transparently, we don't really have an active DeFi ecosystem yet. We're building that out.
Yeah.
That's another opportunity, and we have a lot of interesting primitives that are going to be coming along soon. From the TVL side, like we've done big deals that are just not recognized yet.
Like
so,
what type of deals?
Like for example, we're putting on like 200 plus properties and villas from Damak like this week.
So you're just tokenizing them and putting them on chain.
People are buying them, buying these assets in tokenized form, right?
So I can buy a real world property on Mantra DAO's chain.
Mantra chain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mantra DAO is the old chain?
Mantra DAO was
the old DeFi product.
That's the old DeFi product. We dropped that was like the name of the ERC token.
Correct. But Mantra is the
new thing.
Tendermint Cosmos based
exactly right.
Cosmos SDK chain.
Yes, exactly.
Where you can purchase these properties.
You can start purchasing these properties, these assets.
So what can I do there today?
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
Honestly, you can't. There's like from a DeFi perspective, there's not a whole lot. And I think the interesting thing about real world assets is like you kind of have two sides of the equation here. You have the RWA like permission side, and that's what we've developed. We've built a permissionless chain that's meant to have all this permissionless activity on it, and that's what we're building ground up, like DeFi native, permissionless stuff, right? Perp dexes, synthetics, like all those kind of things, right? Then you have the RWA stuff, which is not necessarily like something that honestly retail is attracted to at the moment.
Right.
But it's an institutional game, and that's where we're distributing products to insto investors, high net worth individuals, family offices.
Is that on the same chain?
On the same,
or is it like a permission chain? Or
on the same chain.
Okay.
So we've built a permissionless blockchain. We were like, I will say this, we were the first to do it.
Yeah.
We always felt it needed to be permissionless, but you needed to have guardrails and like compliance features in place that allowed you to actually speak the language of people who need KYC, they need AML concerns, and they need like, okay, is this going to go to Hamas or something like that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to mid-curve this right now.
No,
but like,
fine.
Why should I buy OM? Like, why are people buying? Like, just for like, is there just speculative, long-term idea, like belief in you guys? Like,
I think so.
Like, I'm not trying to say that we're buying things and there's not much happening, but there's clearly stuff happening.
Yeah.
But like what, people are buying this in now at extreme at top 25 crypto token level.
Yep.
Which is like a very prominent level of size
100%.
and seriousness.
Yeah.
And I just don't want people to get burned here.
RedStone is DeFi's modular oracle, supporting over 100 clients on over 50 chains and offering 1,000 assets. RedStone is the leader for Bitcoin staking and yield-bearing assets. They offer the most robust, customizable price feeds available in any model. Join the RedStone exhibition today. Ladies, gentlemen, Anons, and Degens, it is stablecoin season, brought to you by your favorite, the best in stablecoins, Frax. USD dollar stablecoin backed by the best in the business, the Biddle Fund by BlackRock and Superstate. This is stablecoin season. It is the yield-bearing stablecoin by Frax, coming soon to a chain near you. Innovating finance, global, institutional, and on-chain. Deep liquidity to drive capital efficiency. Now, maximize yields on institutional-grade liquid staking with METH. Unlock $1 trillion of capital via FBitcoin. All of this secured by Mantle's treasury of billions in stables and ETH capital pools. This entire ecosystem is coordinated by a vast network of seasoned VCs that are aiming to create the next generation of banking and financial technology. This is Mantle.
Understand. I mean, I would say if you look at the thing that we're building, right? Overall, RWA is a multi-cycle thing.
Okay.
Mantra has been a multi-cycle thing. This is our third cycle now, right? So, like, if you just look at that, like, frankly, I just didn't fucking give up.
Yep.
You got to give a little bit of credit. I don't know if that's a $13 billion worth of credit, but it is something. That's something to say. Like, honestly, I'm just not going to stop until it works. Yeah. And now we're finally catching a bid because people believe in what we're doing. They believe in the vision. They believe in our community. We've had, we're a layer one chain that just launched mainnet in October, end of October, really.
Yep.
And we're already 60% in circulation in terms of token supply.
Yep.
That's very different than all these new launches, right? So there's tokenomic considerations, there's listing considerations. One thing that I will, talk about today is we're actually announcing that we just got our VARA license approved in Dubai.
Okay.
So we got issued our brokerage, exchange, and asset management license, which is actually world's first ever on-chain native DeFi license issued by VARA, which is fucking huge.
Yep.
So we have like real shit coming. We're working with big institutional partners like Damak, who are legitimate, credible people who are bringing high quality product on chain. And we're in this, like, I see it as like an Uber moment, right?
Okay.
Like, we're trying to take activity that is not normal, like in Uber's case, getting in random strangers' cars,
yes,
and getting them to, invest into things in a tokenized form.
Yeah.
That's not what people do today. So like, we're doing it bit by bit, piece by piece. And we've fortunately been able to bring this together a really, really strong group of investors, partners, supporters, team members to, help us on that vision. And we just are fucking executing. I mean, we work like a dog. I live for this shit. So, I can't, like, I don't want to speculate on price or anything like that. I can't do that. But obviously, I mean, I do see that we want to be a top whatever chain protocol, whatever. I mean, I won't stop until we do that. Right.
Yeah. So what do you guys? So still help me figure out. So you're putting 200 properties on chain
as one example,
but you're also doing a ton of other deals, right?
Yeah.
Where you're doing, is it mostly real estate oriented?
So we have like two main asset classes that we're looking at the most, which is real estate, primarily in the UAE. We've done that, $500 million deal with MAG, $1 billion with Damak.
Yeah.
Damak is a minimum $1 billion.
That means like that amount of real estate valued assets are being tokenized and then put on.
Yeah. So tokenized, put on chain, or distributed natively on chain. So one of the things that we've been focusing on is like not really doing like SPV. Frankly, tokenizing an SPV for real estate ownership is bullshit. I call it even faux tokenization. Like, you need to go direct to title and tokenize the actual underlying, because then you can start doing real cool shit. Like,
so you have 200 titles tokenized.
We're basically,
so that's the goal.
That's like the start.
Yeah,
it's not the goal. That's the beginning, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Damak's the largest private property owner in the Middle East. I think they have like 40,000 units
Yeah.
that they sell. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, honestly.
And they want to put this on chain.
For sure. I mean, we work with the kids are running the show. I mean, obviously Hussein, the father is the figurehead. He started the business. He built it up into a monster conglomerate. I mean, they have businesses and everything. But we work directly with the kids who run the show now, like Amira, Abbas, Ali. I mean, we know all of them and we're they're friends.
Yeah.
So we're just working with these people who are legitimate movers and shakers, and they bring credibility when you're talking about like, okay, how do we actually get the government to come consider working with something like what we're building?
Yeah.
And if it was just us approaching, they'd be like, who the hell are these guys? But if you come with a partner like that, it just changes the game, right? So we've been really fortunate to have a lot of partners like, the Damak team, and Sajwani family, and, all these other guys who they really do move the needle for us.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people, unless you're like familiar with that environment or understand how that stuff works, it really matters. Those relationships matter, but we've been building those relationships for 3 years. I mean, this bar license, I literally have been working on it for 3 fucking years.
Yeah.
And we just got it issued last Friday.
Yep.
So, that's just kind of how we view things. It's a long-term builder mindset, long-term grind. And the juice is worth the squeeze to put in the effort to not cut corners. Because with RWA stuff, again, it's multi-cycle. So I see that eventually if we focus on building up really high quality product on chain, whether it's real estate or, different types of financial products. We're doing a lot of stuff with private credit funds. We've tokenized a BlackRock fund already. We're doing an aviation financing fund. We're tokenizing legitimate airplanes, like 777s, A350s, a few other things. We're doing we did a private credit fund that has LP interest in Blackstone, Oaktree, HBS, really cool products that are now becoming on chain. That's the first start.
Yeah.
On the other side, you have to build up this DeFi native, crypto native, ecosystem of permissionless activity. We're working on that, and eventually there'll be a convergence. And I think in the bear, RWA assets become a lot more attractive than in a bull because everyone's not really looking for 5% treasury bills.
Right.
And I think the important thing as well is unlocking real use cases like RWAs as collateral. So we're working with.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to. So what's the business model for you guys here? How are you guys making money through this?
You at the foundation level, or
I'm not sure where to begin, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, the fairly transparently, the way that I think most crypto companies operate, particularly as a blockchain and labs in an opco. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have effectively the same situation. The opco, in labs helps support technology development, software development, marketing services, whatever for the foundation.
Yeah.
Technically a Swiss association. I think it's a bit more flexible legal structure, based in Switzerland in Zug. It does pretty well. It's not a profitable, but the opco is not a profitable business. And we've raised some equity capital, but not a lot. I mean, we've raised less than $15.
Yeah.
Which I take a lot of pride in the fact that we flipped projects that have raised hundreds of millions of equity capital.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's a little bit of this we didn't have the background and the pedigree and support. And so we so you had one, literally it's one group of people took a chance.
But again, so how do you guys make money? What's your business model here to sustain this?
So effectively we have, this opco, which, charges services to the foundation, or the association. And it also has a large portion of, team and advisor allocation tokens that are long vested and aligned with the team allocations, which I think we initially launched it at, I had team and advisor tokens from the ERC.
Right.
4 years ago.
Right.
Which are fully vested, and I actually gave all back to the company. I didn't take a single one. And then revested myself. Technically, we initially had it at 24/24, so 24 months clef, 24 months linear, and we just made it to 30/30. So I'll be basically at 7-8 years before I even touch a team token, and I don't care. It's not really why I'm doing this.
Okay.
But the group company actually has basically hundreds of millions of dollars worth of tokens now, because the run, that are sitting on his balance sheet that it'll eventually have, vest over time. And then we have other models that we're building up. The reason that we get this license is because now we're going to operate an RWA exchange, right? When on-chain exchange built on Mantra, and that will actually be able to sell, distribute, and trade these products.
Right, and you'll earn some fees or something.
Earn some fees or some transaction fees. Eventually, we do see I mentioned the Uber moment because we're in this growth mode right now where it's billions of dollars of TVL and assets on chain is honestly still peanuts compared to where RWA should be. It should be hundreds of billions, trillions. So we need to get to that point where you've incentivized growth and in the right forms, in the right ways, and with the right partners. One of the challenges of being in the Cosmos chain is like every integration is more expensive.
Hmm.
We're launching EVM that will help, but still everything is, you just don't have that many Cosmos and devs out there.
No.
It's a challenge. So, we are launching and operating different businesses within that model. And you could almost think of it as like the group business is effectively like a tokenization-centric DCG or consensus.
Okay.
And everything's around the Mantra ecosystem, right? So one product was the chain software. One product is the RW exchange. It'll have its own token. I don't know what the third, fourth, fifth thing look like in the future, but they will all have tokens. They'll all be tokenized. It'll all be part of the ecosystem. Every token that's issued will have some sort of airdrop to Ohm community and Ohm stakers.
Okay.
So it starts doing this reflexive thing. And, I guess I would literally we were big in Luna ecosystem. I was particularly significantly, we got into Luna at 20 cents or something. And ran a node from under Mantra DAO days. We ran a Luna node. We're one of the bigger nodes. And we ran that from 20 cents up to 116.
Yeah.
And obviously, ran it all down.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of learnings that you could get from Luna and the way that they built and incubated some core protocols that, had product market fit. Instead of this spray and pray mentality of we need 100 dApps. Dude, there's literally only 5 dApps in crypto people actually fucking use.
Yeah. But they just built a Ponzi.
Well, they had a stablecoin that was a Ponzi, yes, and for sure, that's the issue. We're not going to do a stablecoin. That's not our...
No stablecoin plan.
We would work with other stablecoins, right? We get USDC via Tether, via Noble. We're good friends with Yelena and the team. They're doing a great job. We're talking, working on USDT and some of these other, interesting yield-bearing stablecoins. He's done some stuff with Ondo with USDY.
Yeah.
So, we're agnostic with that respect. But we don't want to. Also, we're not tying anything into consensus. That's not how we want to do this.
Yeah. Do you have any issue with the amount of reliance and concentration you have in the Middle East when that's perceived by the Western world as oil money or negative or, dirty money? Does that connotation affect your mentality?
No.
Okay.
I don't care. I mean, they were the ones who believed in me.
Okay.
And, at the end of the day, I know those people very, very well. They've done significant due diligence. I mean, not crypto investment due diligence, rigorous, institutional due diligence on us.
But is there some ulterior motive here that they're you are just a part of a bigger game that they're trying to corner the crypto market or extract a ton of value or something?
We're expanding in the U.S. I mean, we're hiring people in the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
We're looking to go into the U.S. I'm American, right?
Yeah. Well, I understand.
My goal is to be on Coinbase. I want to do things right. I'm even literally thinking about redomiciling a company to the United States, right? We're a global by nature firm. I think one of our advantages is I'm an American citizen who has been international for the last, basically my entire adult life. So I know Asia like the back of my hand. I've been in Asia for a decade now. I know the Middle East really well. We have all these strong partners there. But that's something that other people are going to have to learn.
And build themselves.
And I also know how to be American, right?
Yeah, right.
It's my heritage.
Right.
And it's my culture. So I think now we're actually starting to get a lot of interest. I was even in New York for the Ondo Summit, 2 weeks ago. And we'd go into meetings with big asset managers, and a few of them, the big guys, they know us, but a couple of them were how the hell did I not hear about you guys and all this interesting stuff that you're doing out there? But it's not precluded to we can operate and do stuff in the US too.
Yeah,
we'd work with, different tokenization platforms and exchanges and, partners and things like that. It's not like we're going to go out there and operate an exchange.
Yeah.
Because, there's still regulatory issues and whatnot, but, I think we're naturally global and, we've been around for long enough. I remember when we did the ICO back in 2020, I literally, with my partners at the time, we hand did manually thousands of SAFs.
Yeah.
And hand distributed everything, manually KYC'd everyone because there wasn't anything available. You just had to fucking do it, right? So, I think that's, people are starting to recognize it, and I appreciate that it's been crazy.
No, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not trying to pick a bone here. I'm just showing a lot of what's going on here.
It's all good. I mean, I have maybe one other point that I think is relevant. I think it's really important that we have put and aligned people so that they feel like they're part of the story. Okay. And we also we're very anal about where tokens are going, where they're moving, are they getting moved on exchanges, not just with us, but with everyone. So it kind of keeps everyone accountable a little bit and everyone winning together. And we'll get pings all the time from people who's trying to sell this SAFT, or like, what's this token movement, or all this stuff. And like, and then we have a conversation, and we have an adult conversation with people about like, dude, what are you doing? Like, we're supposed to be in this together. Like, if you need something,
are you not allowing them to sell?
No, it just depends on like, if you say you're not going to do something, then don't do it. But if you say you're not going to do something and then you go and do exactly the thing you say you're not going to do, like,
isn't there some concern here that there's some retaliation, assumedly non-violently, from the people that have a lot of power in the Middle East to anybody who would want to exit this project?
Oh, no.
Because that's a scary. It's a
No,
scary.
it's definitely
Sitting here.
No, it's definitely not.
Sitting here questioning.
No.
In this manner.
No, bro, dude, we are fucking chill, man. We're like,
okay. But you see what you're saying, right? Like, there's like existential.
Honestly, I've never thought about it like
there's
that.
There's depth to your situation here.
I've never thought about it like that.
No, I'm not suggesting that we should.
Yeah,
but prohibiting others from selling is
it's not prohibiting. It's not prohibiting the selling.
Okay.
It's just, if we're aligned and this is what you say you're going to do and this is what the contract states, then don't do what the contract states.
Right.
Just do the right thing. Exactly. We are in it so that everyone wins together, right? That's the whole point.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah, and it has been crazy. I mean,
insane.
It's been like one of the best performing assets of anything the last 17 months.
It's been the best, probably, one of the best in the entire world.
Yeah,
outside of like meme coins that haven't lasted.
Yeah. And, again, I think we're trying to continue to show there's legitimate, sustainable activities here. And there's real partners. There's real shit. There's real licensing. Like, we're doing things the right way.
But you got to understand that chart is not sustainable.
I understand.
Well, that chart is going to,
you can't go up only.
You can't go up only forever. Like, there's going to be a phase where it comes down. But every chart goes through that. 100%. Every project does. And it doesn't take much, just a couple of like larger sells, but that's just the reality of crypto. It's cyclical, and
100%.
And I just don't want things to go up in flames as soon as there's a little bit of red candles.
No. I mean, listen, like,
everything's good, right? And then
no.
it turns forward.
We've been building for a very long time, right? Like, literally, like, if you look at the chart, everyone looks at it from 2024 to now.
Correct.
But if you look at it from before, like, you see it was like down like this for forever.
One of those charts that just kind of.
Yes. And we just kept building and kept trying to figure it out and kept iterating and kept trying to get someone to take the bet. And even during the course of last year, it hasn't been like all up and down, right? Like,
no.
Derivatives, when we got them launched on Binance, like, I guess it was March or April last year. Like, that was a big fucking deal because now people can short.
Yeah.
And it's like a whole new thing of the game.
Environment, right?
Yeah, because like you get a day one listing, but then you're getting a derivative on top
of it. Yeah,
and it
changes the game.
Changes the game completely. So that's also changed the dynamic of how things operate because it's not just a spot game now for us. It's like really it's a perp game. And we're super careful with how we disseminate information and who's trading off of what. Like, because we're getting screened by people all the time. Like, what's this on-chain activity? Like, what are you actually saying? Are you doing fundraising events? Like, is there ability to short here or there or whatever? And a lot of it is probably not necessarily like, antagonistic shorting. It's just a trading opportunity.
Of course.
And that's fine. Like, it's actually healthy to have corrections.
Correct.
And I know recently it hasn't looked like there's been like too crazy, but
it looks inorganic. It looks like people are just pumping and then people are shorting and then getting blown out.
Well, that's definitely happening.
Yeah. So, JP, thank you for your time. I know that you have a dinner to get to. I really appreciate you coming by.
Thank you, man.
Great first podcast. Appreciate you putting up with my questions.
No, it is cool.
I didn't want to hold off on this one. I think the entire market will appreciate it.
No, I agree. I mean, listen, we don't want to pull punches on anything. Like, I'm a very approachable guy. I think my Twitter account probably shows that, and it's kind of how I've always been from the day we launched the project. Like, active, and I mean, I still answer questions in Telegram like all the time. I enjoy it. So if there's ever anything that you guys want to know, like, hit us up, and we're always happy to try to work. And I don't ever forget when people fade, but I will always leave the door open, right? And I think that's important because, again, like, over the years, we've had a lot of people who counted us out, and we eventually bounced back. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to have tough times in the future. I am assured that we will, right? But I know we'll be prepared, and I know that we'll continue to grow and focus on how we can develop this thing because, like, we have a very long-term vision about what we're building and what we're working on, and we're going to see it through.
Awesome, JP. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.